start. Asta, welcome to In the Good Company podcast. Quite few weeks in making this our conversation, I feel like, but we made it right after
We
New
made
Year.
it.
I'm so excited to have you here. You are a woman circle facilitator, a breathwork practitioner. You are a shamanic healer and coach and a mystic mentor. You focus mostly on women. And that's why I'm so excited um, to have you here and chat about all things you do, and especially women.
Hi, and I'm happy we finally made it
I
happen.
know.
And it's always, when someone says like all of the titles, I get like, I'm still getting used to all of the titles because I feel when we building a soulful business, when we step into different spaces and we use multiple modalities, it's kind of we can add another title. So it's like gets sometimes overwhelming, but in general, I feel I'm just creating spaces, safe spaces for women to come together to reconnect to themselves and as well connect to other women. Because I think that's something that we need, like meaningful and honest connections and conversations.
Yeah. And I was just thinking when you said that about, all the things you do and your titles, I feel like, me coming from corporate America, when you are in corporate America, you're, for example, I don't know, director. But behind director is you probably did like some assisting for years, managing, some digital marketing, or if you are like I was, right? There's plenty of things, but we don't list them. There is like a one umbrella that everybody
Uh,
kind of understand what it is. I think, when we work in this area of healing and with those different modalities, because it's so unfamiliar and some people may see it as woo, you kind of have to support it with all the things you do, all the things you accomplish, and all the areas you specialize with. But I think it
yeah.
will change. And it's amazing to have such a grasp and wide range of tools in your basket.
Yeah,
But anyway,
hopefully it will keep growing.
exactly. Before we go to kind of your story, which is very intriguing and very interesting how you started, I want to hit hard, which we just talked about subject of women. In our circle, where we met, it's a very supportive, beautiful circle of women around altar. That's where we met, and I think that women in healing modalities are a little bit different story than women, for example, in corporate America, or I don't know, even like women in mom circles. I sometimes come across. And I often talk to my husband about this idea. We talk about patriarchy and we need to heal it, and toxic masculinity. And I always go back to this idea that we also have to clean up our camp of women, and how we come together and how we truly support each other. Because you do this work around women's circles, like what do you think we can do to be better for each other, to truly support each other and heal those wounds of competitiveness, comparison, um, some of the traits that, since I did my healing, I feel like they are coming my way less and less frequently, but I still see them. What
Yeah,
are
so
your thoughts there?
I think it's like even not one, but like multiple loaded topics that are blended in one.
Yeah,
First of all, everyone, like when someone says toxic masculinity and toxic man and patriarchy, I feel like the energy of masculine energies as well, we are embodying it, masculine and feminine. So first of the inquiry, I would say like, but how do you embody divine masculine? Is it like, are you sure that you are embodying not the toxic masculinity? Because there are
oh,
moments when we as well into this hustle and competitive and like pushing, and we all need women, we need the divine masculine, divine feminine. We're not always in the divine state of being, let's be honest, in
yeah,
today's world. But like first inquiring, like how I am embodying within myself the masculine. Because
yeah,
sometimes we are not even conscious that we are we are encouraging patriarchy in our own lives. And you mentioned, not going too deep into that topic, but like you as well mentioned, like competitiveness. And I think this is like a very deep collective at this point wound, like it's called sister wound. I'm passionate about this topic as well. It's like we were taught to compete with each other, to constantly like gossip. It's just in our nature, like the default, like instilled in us, like compare. It's like, oh, she's better than me, I'm better than her, who is she? It's like constantly like, I know, competing for a job, for a man, for something. But the truth is we have enough of everything on this planet for everyone. So where are these wounds coming from? And we can only, I believe, heal, not expecting everyone else, but starting from ourselves always, right? So I feel like spaces like women's circles or gatherings, just like we met, right? It was, I believe, Woo Curious at Alter Community in Chicago, where we come authentically and share, not just our light, but as well our shadows, our fears, without being judged, without others trying to fix us. I think that's very important, because sometimes we women, we know what we need to do, but
Yes,
we just
that's
want to
like a
be heard and
nurture
seen.
nature. Like you want to nurture in that moment. Like I'll help you. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's the masculine that wants to solve the problem right away. But sometimes I think the magic of women's spaces is that we get to be seen and heard for where we are at the moment, and maybe we don't want to right away solve the problem, but we want to be in this space of in between. So it's a lot of things, like toxic masculinity, and as well the patriarchy, and at the same time this collective wound of sister wound, when
Mhm.
we still try to make sure we're better than someone else, and competing, comparing, constant. It's like it's a default that most
Yeah,
of us on this planet were born with. Maybe we as well witnessed our moms or grandmothers doing that. But just because we are talking about it and you asked about it means you are aware. And I think the first step in healing anything or transforming, overcoming any pattern or fear is becoming aware and catching yourself in these moments. And I'm leading sisterhood, like sisterhood healing circles, but this doesn't mean like it's still not in me. Like sometimes I still catch myself like looking at Instagram at someone else who's like doing big things. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so much better than me. Like things come up. So it's just like awareness, and then looking in that mirror and seeing that shadow part of yourself. And the question was, what you gonna do about it?
yeah.
So I
And
love it.
usually the best is like when you don't do anything, right? Because those emotions, I always say, like those emotions, for example, any emotion, but of envy or jealousy are just great pointers. Like, okay, she is doing that great. I want to be that great too, right? Like it's a pointer on your journey to what do you want? What you are missing? Or maybe something that you are not utilizing and you have this potential, and that person that you are envy or jealous of is showing you that, and then just not acting on those emotions, on this
Mm,
energy, right? It's a key, because it's not a crime to feel it. It's just
yeah.
the energy moving through your body, right? I love
Mm,
that. And I love what you said about healing yourself. I think, in any instance, but especially between us women, I noticed that the minute this 10 years ago, I started looking at myself and healing my wounds, my mother wound, which I think a lot of sister wounds that I'm getting chills right now is coming from, less and less women, certain, I stop attracting certain type of women. Or even if they show up, I believe in even have last weekend example, I was with a mom and she was telling me something. It was very like, I do this with the devices, my kids don't use it, and I was like, listen to it, and I was like, great for you, great for you. And it wasn't about me, it was about her feeling
mm,
good about her motherhood. And I was like, you are a great mom that you are holding that space. And I just given it to her, and it wasn't like me comparing to her. I was like, she
yeah.
just wants to share how great mother she is, and I'll be happy with her, instead of being like, oh my god, my kids use more device time. And I was like, that's just my choice. And I there's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is, I love what you said about healing us first, and that's where the collective healing comes in. And that's definitely, again, what you said, through awareness, because when we are aware of something,
Yeah.
we can deal with it, right, and address it.
And
Love that.
I want to say, like, even when you mentioned, it's like we can look at it as the medicine, right? Everything could be a poison or the antidote.
I love
And
that.
you choosing what do you do when you catch yourself, when you witness, like, what do you do? Like, me can choose to look at every trigger, every wound as like the medicine, as the teacher. So it's literally all up to us what we decide to do with it. So
Hmm. I love it. So, since we started from big guns, let's talk about your story. I love it. When we met, you told me, you shared how your journey of a healer started kind of with your own healing. Do you mind sharing that story?
yeah, I couldn't say that it was like a healer's journey, but and there is the saying, like, I even like feeling like not really called with the word healer anymore, because I think it's like everywhere. It's like there was allergy of coaching everywhere, and now it's the healing. But I feel like, yeah, that was a journey of the wounded healer. So back, it was more than 10 years ago, it was 2014, I received a call from my doctor's office after doing an MRI, and they said that I have a tumor in my head. And since I'm an immigrant, I moved to the United States from Lithuania, I heard that, like my English wasn't so good. So when I heard tumor, it was like, from in my mind, it's like equals cancer. Like, and
Yeah.
I was so shocked. I was still working in logistics industry. Like, I was in the office. I remember, like, when they said it, like, it felt like my body, like my soul left my body, and I don't even know how, but I just raised from my chair, from my office. I just went straight to my car, and I don't even remember how I got home. But even like when I share, sometimes people say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you." I'm like, no, no, no. That's actually turned into, once again, my medicine. That turned into my greatest gift, that my wake up call. Because, of course, the first few days were like, I'm in shock and like, what is this happening? Am I dying? How much I still have? And then I realized, like, okay, but like, no matter how much we have, we all gonna die. So now I always look at death as like a teacher instead of being afraid of talk about it. But like, I don't know how long I have. No one knows how long we have. Even they feel healthy today, right? But what do we do with the time? What do we do with the life? Because our time, where we invest our time, right, equals our life. So I literally, the pamper, that was after a long time that I started to ask myself these questions, and like, who am I?
Hmm.
What I want to experience in life, what I want to create, why I am here, what is my purpose. Because you probably, I'm not sure when you moved to the United States as well, but like, I was chasing this American dream. I was working nonstop, multiple jobs, taking multiple extra side hustles, and just buying bigger house, newer car. And I felt like I am rocking and this immigrant, building my dream, building my life here. The finances are flowing, but then this wake up call. Uh-huh. Well, why do you do this all for? And then it was like I realized that I'm not actually living, I'm existing. So my
Hmm.
company even right now is named A Start Living, because, and that was the beginning, my mission is to wake people up from existence so they could start living their lives. And then later I figured out that it's not my purpose to wake people up. It's not my job. People wake up whenever they are ready to wake up. Sometimes universe sends the signal, just like I received. But I feel like that was the catalyst moment in my life that led me to search for more, to
Hmm.
reminded me that I meant for more, like for deeper meaning, for doing things that brings me joy. And fast forward, this whole journey of questioning and looking for answers led me to going through divorce, led me to moving from the suburbs into the city, adopting a dog from the shelter, because At some point, I ended up completely by myself. The family overseas, everyone's overseas. We had a few like friends with my ex-husband, but then it was like a family friend. So I felt like it's time for me to start my new life, build new friends, and I started to attract beautiful people who were as well open-minded and into self-development. That led me to starting to work with the first coach and the therapist, and self-development programs led me to all of the rabbit holes of the mindset, and I saw potential for me and finally left my job in trucking business in 2018 into coaching. And then the snowball keeps rolling, and I realized, okay, it's not just the mindset. If we, women are working on their mindset, their limiting beliefs, their fears, their empowering beliefs, but you cannot brainwash yourself into believing that you are the most amazing person, that you're capable of everything, if you don't believe in yourself, in your higher self. So that led me into another rabbit hole of spirituality and plant medicine journeys and studying energy healing modalities, um, getting like master attunements and so on. And then there was the last piece that was somatics. That's energy in the body. That's when I dived into nervous system regulation, breathwork, facilitation. And I feel like now, like through my own journey, I realized that the school hashtag mind body soul, that sounded just so like it's just so basic. Now it is true. I truly believe now that whenever we want to excel in life, transform, overcome, heal, like we really need to look at this a holistic approach. You go
Mhm.
just on the gym and working only on your body, on the muscles, like you won't go so far. The same, just like if you're working on a mindset or just meditating on yourself and manifesting things, but you are not actually doing anything. So it's just like this whole holistic thing. And since I was on that journey, I was looking for safe spaces where I feel I belong. As an immigrant, a lot of times I would go to networking events and I just felt like I don't belong. And I wanted to have a space where I feel like I belong. So maybe that was my as well another catalyst moment into creating these spaces. So I just started to gather my friends, my soul sisters into the circles. And first it was like just workshop or tea ceremony. And then it just grew. It just grew and it keeps growing. And I don't know what's next, but I just hope it's big and it's beautiful and it will impact more women to as well who are seeking spaces like this.
Mhm.
So
Oh my God, where should I start? Because so many things came up for me when you were talking. First of all, for everybody listening, are you healthy? How is your tumor? Is it gone? Like, are you? Because I know we started it. Are you healthy there, or were you able to deal with that?
it's inactive. That's the thing. It's inactive. It's just no one knows how long. Maybe I was born with it. It was just that I
Okay,
just realized that in the
that is
United
there.
States, yeah,
Yes.
and I feel like it was just that piece of as well me
Yeah.
with my
Wake you up, shook you up a little bit.
yeah, and me not understanding the difference between tumor and cancer in that moment. I think that was as well a big piece.
But you're
But yeah,
healthy.
I'm healthy. I
Good.
you know I
That's
I
the
feel
most important.
like as long as I will walk my path, it will stay quiet. If I will as well drift somewhere, like the wake up call will come
Um,
back. I just know that I'm okay as long as um I'm following my calling.
mhm. Love that. Glad to hear it. Um, okay, let's go back to American Dream. Something pop up with me when you
Mhm.
said about chasing American Dream. It's so delusional because look, there's something like this frame that we are all chasing. Not anymore me, but a lot of people are talking this American Dream, and nobody knows what it really is. Nobody's happy when they get there, and it doesn't fit anybody. Like, I really think not only we should redefine American dream as a very personal thing, but we should just like bury it at this point, because this is just like such a delusional idea of fitting all people into the same bucket that again
Mhm.
nobody fits in and nobody's happy when they get there, from what I'm understanding. So that
Yeah.
definitely pop up for me. And I love this idea of kind of a wake up call, right? That something that steer you in a different action. And what a beautiful message. And to anybody who is like, where should I go? Where should I start? Just asking yourself these big questions, because we may think it's a cliche. And I love that you're sharing that you ask yourself big freaking life questions, right? Like exactly thing happened to me when I had my daughters. I was like, what do I want them to see that I do in the world? What do I want to bring in the world? Who I am in this, am I in this world? Because I'm not this advertising executive. They named me or I climbed and I decided to do it. It doesn't feel right. So what feels right? Uh,
Mhm.
and I think this is beautiful that you are just sharing this idea of ask yourself this freaking big life cliche, but not cliche questions, because that's where
Mhm.
the journey starts. And it is a journey, and I love it that you know, step by step you are also sharing, because we feel like, you know, when somebody shares the success, right, they're like, and I'm here and I'm successful, but nobody shares this. And I started here and then I pivoted and then I added here and then this was interesting to me and I wanted to add this to my skills, to my company, to my services. And nobody fully shared that, you know, labyrinth of discovering yourself and building something. Because we usually, you know, when we talk to somebody who like fully succeed and blow up there, they are already up there and they're just talking about, you know, whatever last year or
Mhm.
whatever it got him or her there. So I
Yeah.
love that. Should we talk about more women's circles? I love this idea. We when I think you led one, it was like a oracle cards, and I cannot recommend it more for any women, even if it feels uncomfortable and weird. Just go, especially to like a place like Alter or, you know, wherever you offer, for example, women's circles. The intention behind it, which I think you mentioned too, is like just connection, understanding each other, supporting each other, not fixing, nothing else.
Mhm.
So tell me about more about that. How you lead women's circles, how you come up with ideas. Do you have any beautiful stories from women's circles?
Mm. I'm actually preparing for one tomorrow. This
Oh,
today we are recording the podcast during the new moon in Aquarius. How
I
exciting that
know.
is!
I was so excited. I forgot about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, I mean, other than that, many women's circles, many ceremonies before myself, and I always go with open mind because there are so many different styles of leading it. And in every facilitation, no matter what I'm facilitating, I always love to think of like, I just don't want to do like my teachers taught me something, for example, breathwork as well. I want to create in my own way, like what it means for me. What do I like? So I think we all like sometimes take business pieces from different places that we liked. Oh, I like this one and I like that question. Would be nice to ask during women's circle. I'm always recreating. I kind of have my own like structure that I created for what works for me for our circle, and I always follow that. But then I'm flexible, and I don't want every circle to be the same, like the same structure, totally. So usually the women's circles are during new moon or full moon, as that's the time, back in the days when people used to live in the tribes
Yeah.
in tents, that there used to be one tent called red tent where women would come together to simply gather to bleed during their menstrual cycle, to give birth to just little girls, women who are already in the menopause. They would just come together to be in a sisterhood, to dance, to cry, to share their struggles, to share their wins, to just be in a sisterhood and feel that support, because we all need that nourishment. And as well, reconnect our dreams. What do we want in the next cycle? What seeds we want to plant for the next cycle, right? So the new moon is the time. If you do on a new moon, like tomorrow we'll host, it's the time when we focus on what we want to plant, what intentions we are setting, what seeds we are planting that we would love to see grow and flourish in our lives. Depending on what astrology is present as well, what signs are impacting us, we can focus on specifically that area of our lives to focus on planting seeds. If it's a full moon, it's usually when I host sisterhood breathwork ceremonies, because breathwork is sometimes a lot as well about
Release.
releasing, cleansing, as I say, using the breath as the broom to sweep away everything that no longer serves us. So we create space within our container to hold the new vibrations, the new emotions, the new experiences that we want to call in into our lives. So the full moon is like shedding away, releasing, burning. Um, and I love to say, like, as well, I don't know how about you, but like, I heard a lot even when I was growing up, like, oh, it's full moon, everyone's going crazy. And it's like everyone's blaming the full moon for going crazy. And then I realized, look, no, this is not the full moon. Full moon is actually illuminating, is lighting the shining the light on our shadows. So that's why people go crazy, because they don't like to look in their shadows usually. They stuff, and then when things come up, when someone, lights the light, shines the light on your shadow, then you don't want to be seen, and you might get, crazy in a way. So yeah, usually we just share. I'm a believer that sharing circle is an incredible medicine, and I'm never forcing everyone to just share their life stories, but I always pass the talking stick that I found myself in the forest preserve, and I decorated with crystals and feathers. And I always pass because it's coming from Native American traditions. I love to combine different pieces from different traditions, but I feel like it's special because whoever holds that talking stick, that's the only person that speaks. That's exactly the core of why I think women's circles are powerful, for us to be seen and heard, right? So no one's coming to give unsolicited advices, um, say something while you're talking, but this is your space to be witnessed. And sometimes it's just for a woman to say their name and their intention, one word, what brings them here. And sometimes women would love to share more. So that's the space where they have the opportunity to do that, to use their voice. Um, we do usually some kind of embodiment practice. Sometimes it's a little breath work, like 10 minutes. Sometimes it's guided meditation as well, like tuning in into astrology, into as well what I'm feeling would suit the best the circle. And then we share again, then we pull cards, then we do the water ritual or the fire ritual, depending where we are. Fire is not always the safest thing, the safest, ritual to do if we are
Yeah.
inside. Um, but I feel like it's called connecting to the nature's elements, because I'm a big believer that I want to do everything in a ceremonial way, to believe that it's not just us, but we can get support from the Mother Earth, from the Father Sky, from the water, the spirit of the water, the spirit of the air, the spirit of the fire, and the spirit of the earth. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to overwhelm with like the whole like structure. I would just invite you to
No.
join and experience. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think just the key
Yeah.
points.
And I think it's like, I don't know about you, but for me sometimes, uh, like for example with my healing practice, I have a plan prepared for a client based on what I heard, and then I meet the client and I'm like, scratch that. Like there's we have to do completely something different, because in that moment, and I think that's also like with the group energy and group
Hmm.
vibration and what is needed for the group. Think maybe the sometimes also that comes to play with what you want to do, because that's like in the moment you're like, okay, I have all this plan and that's how I run the circle around the new moon, but there's also other things that looks like are needed, right?
Yeah.
I just want to say that there is one thing that came to me when you were saying about the women's circle is that it's, somebody say like, oh my god, this is like such an ancient, like old school practice, and I believe, and I'm getting so many chills right now, there is like nothing more powerful. Like the circles, we had several. I was at altar when we intentionally come together to support each other, to talk to heal together on some level. There is nothing more powerful. The power I always went out from that circle with, of like being more healed, being more embodied in me, being more confident, is incredible. And it's just by sharing and listening to other women. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that, we think it's such an ancient thing, but the thing is, we, I think we are unhappy as a society right now. And we pedal too fast in one direction, and it's time for us to, in many areas of my life, go back, go back to practices. And I'm getting so many chills right now, to certain practices like this one, like growing
Mm.
our food slow and clean, like, I don't know, going for a walks and have a more communal living. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong to turn in the wrong direction and be in the, dead end street with unhappiness and be like, okay, I have to turn back, right? Just like, for example, with you and
Yeah.
your story with healing, right? Like, oh my God, you were chasing this dream that wasn't yours and something stopped you, and like you are in the dead end street. You have to go back, ask questions, and go different direction,
Yeah.
right? And look at you now. I don't know, just that
Yeah.
just came to me.
I just would love to as well piggyback on that because I feel like sometimes women is as well, every circle is different, and if someone's just joined once and it's like I did not really resonate it, like maybe try again, different circle, or start your own. It doesn't have to have rituals, maybe it's you gathering your friends and you having a book club where you discuss
Yes.
book, but as well you have a tea or you make meal together, and where you can really like as well have this kind of like I say agreements that what happens here stays here. Can we really trust each other? Can we like go to the next level of friendship where we really like dive deep and support each other in like more mindful way? And when starting, you said like, oh, so many people don't share in between, but like when I started the first women's circles, like I literally like had like multiple pages written down of what I'm gonna say. And like there were no adjustments, there were no reading room. There was just like, okay, I prepared this, now we do this, now we do that, because this is like, if someone who's starting, that might be you as well. And that's okay. I keep telling myself, as one of my mentors told me many years ago, imperfect action is better than perfect delay. Everyone who came to
Mhm.
these circles as well, that I truly believe they still received so much. They
Oh my
received
God,
what they
always.
needed. And now I have I know with closed eyes what I'm gonna do. I can come unprepared and like just roll with that,
Go with the flow.
because I know that women are not coming to listen to me. They coming to connect. So all I'm doing is just gathering. Of course, like I'm always preparing, I'm tuning in. But as you said, like I'm not like strict. I'm now gonna be do. A lot of times I'm just changing everything because I see who came, what topics are women already sharing at the opening circle, and I'm like, okay, I planned this, I had in mind this, but we're gonna do this. So, but it comes with time, with how comfortable you are with holding that space. So if someone's just starting, just have a list of things, prepare everything, have some practices in your toolbox that possibly could include. So yeah, but it's all evolving with time.
Hmm. Yeah. And I love this idea what you said, that it doesn't have to be woo woo, witchy, full moon,
No.
new moon. I love it, right? A book club again, where when we again connect and be together and just talk and share and be intimate in that way as women. I love that, because sometimes we think like women circle that it has to be right in the tent and we all have feathers on.
No,
When
feathers
actually would
are
be
not
really
needed.
fun.
We love feathers, but they are not necessary.
I love some witching me. Okay, so besides Women's Circle, we talked about your big basket of different tools you have, right? Like different healing modalities and things you learn along the way. Is there something besides Women's Circle that you are gravitated to, or you would recommend to anybody who is like interested in starting somewhere, or dipping into alternative healing modalities? Is there anything that is like fascinating learning lately for you within your tool basket?
Um, so one of the things that I do as well is hosting, like I'm as a breathwork facilitator, I crafted this as well, like event that is uniquely aligning with who I am and I believe my ideal client and my community to serve even deeper. So I'm holding sisterhood breathwork ceremony. So it's a 4-hour event. It is the blend of the women's circle, but as well we are using the the magical tool, like regulating our nervous system. It's breath work. For we go deep into using that practice within. So that's the time for us to express everything we've been suppressing. And when say like we all face daily stress everywhere. Some of the stress we are not even aware. Maybe we're driving, there is someone in front of us, like when we are just like holding like stuff like that. Um, and because simply like we are emotionally intelligent, hopefully, and if you are at work, someone pissed you off, but you are behaving like you're supposed to behave at a workspace, and you're not gonna just start screaming because you're angry or because you are hurt. You're not just gonna start crying in the middle of the meeting every time. So, but all of these emotions that we start feeling when we are not expressing, we suppress them inside. And when we
Yeah.
suppress, the more we suppress, these emotions become repressed, and then when become depressed. So events like breathwork, breathwork ceremonies that I'm holding, and there are a lot of breathwork facilitators just holding breathwork without even necessarily sisterhood. This allows you to get out of your mind into your body and allows your body to speak, which means emotions will arise. Sometimes it's sadness, sometimes it's laughter and joy, sometimes it's hurt, sometimes it's anger. And that's the safe space for you to fully give yourself permission to express that. So I have sometimes like women screaming, women crying during that event, sometimes laughing. Like I had a woman who was orgasming the whole time because maybe that was what she suppressed. So I think that's something that is very powerful for someone who would love to go deep. And why I love this practice so much is because you are taking your own power in your own hands. Like after every time I look at women, they are feeling so empowered, no matter if they felt like anger or something else, because they did the job. Like I cannot breathe for you. So
Mhm,
that's why I'm
mhm.
like, I'm not offering any more energy healing sessions because I felt sometimes people look for quick fix. I'm like not taking responsibility for their own healing. And it's like, oh, can I get the energy healing? And I'm like, that's what this word keeps like, I'm not sure if I'm relating anymore because it's not like I can heal you. You are healing yourself. I'm just holding space for you to do that, right? So with breath work, I feel that just the modality itself is so powerful because you have to do the work. You have to breathe uncomfortably for a long time, deep in your belly. Your mind says it's too hard, your mouth gets dry, but you do, and at some point it switch happens and your body starts to breathe for you. So you're no longer thinking, you're just feeling. And it is so empowering because women would say like, wow, I had no idea my body is so capable of this. And sometimes they see visions, receive answers for like the next steps in life, reconnecting to their purpose. So yeah, I think it's just so empowering to not just expect for someone else to tell you what to do, to fix you, to heal you, but you are the one who's coming into spaces to be held while you do that inner healing for yourself.
Mhm, mhm. Um, could not agree with you more. And myself as a breathing facilitator, breathwork facilitator. And by the way, I want to point out that we are two women in the same space, and there is room for all of us. And we have the clients, we have the people who are coming to us, and there is no competition between me and Asta. Just want to point it
Yes.
out. Um, and it's true. I really, since the beginning, I never felt anything like this for you. With you, I was just like, and with healing modalities, I feel like I always like the more the better. There's 8 billion people in this world that needs help. We all need help. Even I need help. So the more of us, the better. But going back to breath work, I think could not agree more with what you're saying. And I think there's one thing, magical thing about breath work is um which also I see with energy. I believe that they still do in energy their own work. Again, I'm just
Mhm.
facilitating. They think they come to me, but I'm just allowing, and then my work is really 10%. 90% is still on person who works with energetically. But when it comes to actual breath work, what is fascinating is that sometimes we don't even know what is stored within us. And you can go to therapy and sit down on the couch and talk for hours and still not be able to access it. But because with this kind of manual work of your body through breath, you are able to access things that are so deeply ingrained and such a blockages, energetical and emotional, that are automatically released, that you don't even have to become aware what was this about, because it doesn't even matter. The matter is that it was blocking you. The matter it was hurting you. What was that? Doesn't matter, just let it go, right? And it's even better because then you don't have to re-traumatize yourself, right? Like with the sit therapy, you talk and you think about it and talk about it again, and you re-traumatize yourself. With breath work and energy work, what I love is this idea that it's just release, and we don't even care. I don't even personally, I don't know about you, when I work with somebody, I don't want to tell them to tell me full story, because I don't want to take that on me, but also re-traumatize them. There is some kind of blockage and we are working on it, and let it go, and doesn't matter what it is. And I think breath work is amazing with it, right? Just
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
release without going deep, what, why, when, who, how it affects my life. None of that. It's like magic pill. Really, I see it
Yeah.
that way, on some level. It's just like, okay, there is a block, we release it. You may cry, you may, like you said, right? You may laugh, and it's gone. I think that's
Yeah.
a that
Yeah.
that is amazing thing about breathwork. I call it
Definitely.
organic psychedelics. That it's like you like make yourself go there to places that you would never go, or other substances could probably help you, but you can actually do it yourself via breath.
Yeah, I feel like definitely not internalizing. That's the magic that we get out of the mind, ideally,
Yes.
right? If someone's coming first time, they might not fully get out of the mind. They want still control. They're not surrendering to the journey, but ideally, we want to get out of the mind. So not internalizing. And yet, sometimes I don't want to say like 100%, like we don't need therapy. Sometimes I feel like things might come up intensely for
Yeah.
someone, especially if clients who are not really like having tools to work on themselves, not fully, into self-development for a long time. So for those clients, I recommend therapy as an integration, because every
Yeah.
journey itself, is just a journey. It's just in a way like getting high through breath work, but like how do you integrate? And sometimes for people need like support from like therapist or coach to integrate the journey, especially if it's like, I don't know, sometimes people would feel like I don't even have words after breathwork to share. I'm like, it's okay. Things might come up. If you need support, let me know. If it's something very deep, I'm not a therapist, licensed therapist. So like I offer coaching and mentorship and integration support. But if something deep, very deep comes up, I always recommend or send to some therapists to help
Yeah.
them to integrate the journey.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said it, because I think I just like skipped the thought. I skipped to the moment. When you did work a
Yeah.
lot on yourself and you get to this moment, like what else? What else is there? I still think there's
Yeah.
something there. I think I was talking more about that. Definitely not dissing sit therapy, that I'm actually back in
Me
and
too.
I'm loving it, right? Listen, even dentists go to the dentist. That's the role. Yeah, so definitely not discrediting the talk therapy at all. I didn't want it to come out that way. Asa, tell me something that you are using lately in your business, in your private life, in your work, podcast, book, practice, whatever it is that is something that you're like, oh my God, this is great. I love it. It's super helpful to me. It's so interesting, intriguing. I always like to ask that question because we learn from each other. And my guests always bring so many interesting things that
I
they are
mean,
using. Anything. It can be anything.
of course, like books, audiobooks, podcasts. But what came up right away when you asked is something that
Yes.
I I did a few years ago, like had this multi time, like many years ago, I used it multiple times, but now I feel like it's really changing my energy. So recording yourself in a voice note, like the ideal future day, how your future looks like, how you feel, how you're walking through your your day, what you're surrounding yourself with, and then like really tuning in into feeling and like being grateful for what you have, what you created. um so I have this like 20 minutes recording now.
I love it.
I don't listen like every single day. But sometimes, just when I wake up, like I'm just play. Sometimes I play like a meditation, like Joe Dispenza. I love his work
Yeah,
so much. But sometimes it's like brushing my teeth and just playing that. Not necessarily always knowing like sometimes it's just, listening. Because I always like know what I'm gonna say because I recorded that. But there is something very, very magical when you listen to your own voice and you are connecting to that potential version of yourself, um, like walking you through that life that you created is just in the past. And I believe in simultaneous lives. I believe that time is illusion. So in a way, it might look like, oh, it's 5 years from now, but who knows? Maybe I can grab that timeline faster if I fully feel worthy of it in my body, in my energy, right?
yeah.
Um, and then doing the work of like I said, like the breath work is like sweeping away, cleansing everything that's like low vibration, old family systems that are blocks and guilt and shame and who am I to do this and we have to suffer and you have to work super hard to earn money and all of that stories, like cultural
Religion,
beliefs.
religion. You are born
Some people,
sin as a
yeah.
sinner. Mhm.
So like so much stuff like becoming aware and cleansing to create that openness, to create that space, to hold that vibration that isn't that recording. So I highly recommend someone to just try to and actually just recently I've been leaning in more into technology. I've been receiving downloads that technology and systems is something that I need to focus on to grow this business. And ChatGPT, I have as well like lots of fears about AI and where this will go, but I'm like, okay, I want to talk with ChatGPT like it's a person, and you can literally ask with a good prompt. Could you help me to create this like a meditation that I could literally you can ask that I could listen to, and just share like your vision. Just you can just from the phone record literally all the things that you want to see, and it could create the beautiful like meditation like text where you can just read and record. If for someone is authentically not flowing, yeah, I recorded mine just from the space.
Oh my God.
Actually, after
I
this
love
journey.
Asa, I love voice notes. We had all episode about it on the podcast because I use voice notes to vent. For example, if I'm frustrated with
Mhm.
something, I want to talk it through. Then when you listen to it, it's like, oh my God, this was stupid. Oh my God, this was it. Voice notes are amazing. I love your idea of like a future self. You know why? What came to me when you were saying it? It's because we hear our voice in our head all the time, not as we are speaking, even this voice that sometimes is unfortunately negative. And what if we recorded like you yourself, right? And I did that too with affirmation in my own voice, my own affirmations, because
Mm.
I wanted to get my head used to this positive voice of my own in
Yeah.
my head versus this negative that used to tell me all things I cannot do or I am not or etc. So I love that. I love that, and especially at the beginning of the new year. What a perfect
Yeah.
timing and new moon. I think our podcast I will post it next week, but still you can utilize it every new moon, right, to record kind of your
Yeah.
future. more healed, more growth, more aligned and successful, whatever you wish for self. Love that. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that.
And not
Okay,
fixate
yeah.
on like this is gonna be the future. It's like I keep telling like this is the possible potential future. So it's
Yeah,
like
and
not
focus
fixating that.
on
Yeah,
feeling, like
and on
how you want to
feeling.
feel, right? I always say that. I don't know if you agree, but I always say that
Yeah,
sometimes you're like, oh my God, I want to have a thriving business. But what is in this thriving business that you want to feel like? Do you want to feel respected? Do you want to feel successful? Say you want to feel respected and successful because you open the door to all kind of possibilities that this success and respect you wish for can come through versus just your small business, right? Like
yeah.
don't just avenue, and I get so many chills, FYI. So I love that. What's coming up from Asta, from you? What are the events where people can find you? As usually I will link everything below, but anything you want to call out specifically besides
Oh,
the circle tomorrow, which should uh I may post a little teaser today with your circle tomorrow. Is it at altar?
yes, it is at
Okay.
Alter. So I'm one of the core facilitators at Alter community in Chicago, where I'm hosting monthly sisterhood new moon circles. So all the members gets to experience this magic for free, and the public is as well open to join us with registration. And yet I'm hosting like sisterhood breathwork ceremonies and other events at Altar and other spaces around Chicago. So that's as well something. If you're connecting with me, you can probably see I'm mostly active on Instagram. That's where I'm sharing all the upcoming events. And the next sisterhood breathwork ceremony I have scheduled in Chicago is actually on March 9th. So it's gonna be in March. February, I'm taking most likely off, definitely from in-person events, because I am going on a road trip. So,
Oh my God, where are you going? I love it.
no, I don't know, not sure yet. Most likely somewhere west, like Arizona and Sedona, and car camping and just spending time in nature. Yeah, so I will most likely host something in and out, something like a virtual, because my idea as well, like I don't want to be tied just to one location. I would love to have the capacity to as well travel since I'm European, my whole family is in Europe. So I like to spend some time in Europe. So idea is to offer virtually a lot as well. Like one-on-one breathwork sessions, mentorship, so events as well virtually, so people from around the world can join us. But yeah, probably February, most likely I will take off from
Nice,
holding
love it.
spaces, like a group spaces. And then February on March, we'll be back in Chicago.
Okay, so IG, you will be posting on all the events tomorrow. It will be what January 30th, New Moon Circle
Mm-hmm.
at Altair. Maybe we'll do a little teaser. And thank you so much, Asta. I'm so glad we finally were able to do
Mm-hmm.
it after the year. Always such a great conversation. I could talk to you forever. Let's talk about the connection to Mother Nature. Now that you're going to
Mm-hmm.
be connecting and going
Yeah.
for this trip, we could talk hours about that or AI too. I think there is just so much potential there. Uh, so, yeah, maybe we'll have to do another one.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
Asta, so
you.
much. I appreciate you so
Mm.
much.